Oh my gosh, we're live. Mike, hello.
It's Social Pulse Weekly, brought to you by Agorapulse. With this week's special guest, Julia McCoy. Discussing this week's hottest topics and latest developments in social media marketing. With your host, Jennifer Watson. Here's Social Pulse Weekly.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, and thank you so much for joining us for Social Pulse Weekly. First of all, I can't believe it's August 14th already, right? It's actually my parents' anniversary, but I'm so excited because we have an amazing guest today. You saw a sneak peek of her and one of her many books. She's an incredible writer, and I can't wait to just dive deep into her background and her expertise and share all of that with you. But before we get there, I just want to say hi. How are you guys doing? And we didn't have a show last week. It was my daughter's 3rd birthday, but we're back this week, and I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. So welcome everyone to the show. We've got Rager, we've got Sue-Ann, we've got many others with us. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching us, let us know who you are, where you're watching us from, and something you're looking forward to for the rest of the year. Keep in mind, we're almost 4 months away from Christmas. Just think about that for a second. And I want to give a special thanks to our show sponsor, Mitch Jackson. So Mitch Jackson enjoys combining law, social media, and technology to disrupt, hack, and improve his clients' companies, causes, and professional relationships. Because of the results he consistently gets for his clients, Mitch has been named a 2009 Orange County Trial Lawyer of the Year and 2013 California Litigation Lawyer of the Year. So stay connected with Mitch at his social and video blog at livevideo.lawyer. So Mitch, thank you so much for joining us. He's in sunny California, already went for a run today. If you guys need motivation, follow him on Instagram, all the social channels, because he runs, Mitch, I feel like every single day, and he's smart, he's brilliant, he's wonderful. Trisha, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have a packed house. We've got Justin Hornback, and yes, he said, whoa, new room, Jen. So I'm actually, yes, this is the new room. So I'm actually not in Atlanta, Georgia right now. I'm in Washington, D.C. So this is a little bit of a different background, but guess what, guys? It's going to be different next week too. So there's just a lot of fun changes. I'm trying to keep you guys on your toes. And with that, let's talk about some social media news, right? There's been a lot going on, especially with the US election and other things, and all the social media platforms trying to make their privacy settings better, and just everything during what we're going through with COVID and everything else. So the one thing I love that Twitter has done, they announced this week new conversation settings. So let's take a closer look at this for a second. They said, and I quote, since your tweet equals your space, they've been testing new settings to give people more control over the conversations they start. Sometimes people are more comfortable talking about what's happening when they can choose who can reply. So we've seen people use these settings to have conversations that weren't really possible before. So starting today, everyone, now this was on Tuesday, everyone will be able to use these settings so unwanted replies don't get in the way of meaningful conversations, which I think this is so huge because there's been a lot of negativity, there's been fake news with what's going on, and social media is one of those things that's supposed to be a positive experience, sharing real, truthful news and having open, honest conversations. So how to use this is before you tweet, you can choose who can reply with 3 different options. Either everyone, your standard Twitter and the default setting, or the second option, only people who follow you or actually who you follow. And then 3, only people you mention in the tweet. So tweets with the latter 2 settings will be labeled and the reply icon will be grayed out for people who can't reply. People who can't reply will still be able to view, retweet with comment, and share and like these tweets. Now, they did a test group of this, and 60% of those people who were within the test group did not have to use the mute or block options during that time. So I think this is positive all over the place. You guys, if you are pro this new Twitter feature, give a thumbs up in the comments. Let us know how you like it. Have you used it already? Because I think this is very, very positive, so we can continue to have these open and honest conversations and not be scared of bullies or other people attacking, and just have it be a positive experience. So let us know if you're pro this. I want to know. Give me a thumbs up in the comments. All right. Number 2, Facebook is testing new post-level analytics for groups, which I love because, as you know, the analytics in Facebook groups isn't quite there compared to the pages and everything else they offer. So what they said, Facebook is adding another new feature for groups with a new post analytics option, which will provide more context to how people are engaging with group updates. So Facebook explains, with their post level metrics, admins can easily see the reach of a post with the unique number of people we've seen the post, as well as engaged by reactions, comments, shares, and clicks. Each post also shows the number of active members in the group at the time of the post, which I think is a cool metric, a key driver of reach and engagement. So now most of those you could see already. The reactions, comments, and shares are all displayed on each post, though not in the same way. The main additions are things like photo views, post hides, and active members, which I love the active members part, which, as Facebook notes, could help to focus your engagement strategies. So I think this is very positive. As us, we have multiple different Facebook groups, either private or public at Agora Pulse. So I think this is a huge positive. So if you're for this, I definitely give another thumbs up if you like this. And I mean, who wouldn't want more analytics, right? Because it can only improve your process, let you know more about your audience, what they're engaging with, what they're not, so you can make better content. Now, with that said, Instagram Reels. So Instagram Reels was released last week. We didn't have a show last week, so I just got to geek out about it. I want to know, what do you guys think with Instagram Reels? Instagram Reels or TikTok? Which one is better? Which one do you like better? Let us know in the comments, because I think it's so fun and awesome. And along with that, Instagram is now testing, this was released this week, a new Reels button in the menu bar. So they recently launched Reels worldwide last week, but now they want to push the new option for content creation even further, really competing with TikTok, because from now on, Instagram is testing a Reels button in the menu bar with a selected user group. Now, the Reels symbol is now where the Discover icon was before, and users who are in this test group can access the Discovery feed by clicking on the magnifying glass icon. This is now in the upper right corner. Using the Reels button in the lower menu bar, users get to a page that is very similar to the For You page, like TikTok, or that's on TikTok. Users are shown short clips. With a swipe up, users get to the next Reels video. So this is practically like TikTok. I mean, basically the same exact thing. So first of all, let us know, what do you think? Reels, TikTok, which one do you like better? Which one do you think is going to actually do better in the long run? I want to know. And let's take a look at your comments. So Justin Hornback, just tons of thumbs up, which I love. Yes, I'm for the Twitter update, being able to control who comments, especially if you've had negative impacts before. I think that's a big thing. Mitch Jackson said he's in Instagram Reels, but I'm a fan of both. It's true. TikTok is super fun. I'm addicted to TikTok just for workout videos. I don't know what you use it for, guys, but I love like a quick workout. I still haven't gotten myself to go to the gym, even though my gym has opened up. I'm nervous about it. So I've been using those 15-second videos. Also, I like watching different acrobatics and gymnastics on there too. There's some pretty amazing gymnasts and athletes on there that I get inspiration from as well. But I think both of them are really cool. Jen Cole, welcome to the group. Happy Friday. Jen Cole, Reels or TikTok? I want to know. We've got Eugene, who said he wasn't a TikTok user, but not into Reels either. Eugene, just test both out, or at least get your handles, your names on both, and kind of observe and see if maybe they would work best for you, or they might be something that you can incorporate in your strategy. So I love this, you guys. There's so much going on, so much good news. And Julia, TikTok is lots of fun. So with that said, we've talked enough about the news. Let's bring on our guest. But first, I want to properly introduce her, because she's kind of a big deal, just a little bit, what she's accomplished in her very short life so far. So Julia McCoy is a serial entrepreneur. She's a content marketing strategist and a passionate advocate of using content to build a business. She mentors and educates marketers at her brand, The Content Hacker, and leads writing operations at her agency, Express Writers. Back in 2011, she founded her writing agency after dropping out of college with nothing but a hope, dream, and $75. Today, Express Writers has over 90 on staff and generates 7 figures in annual revenue. Julia is a 3 times best-selling author, educator, and speaker, and has been published and featured in Content Marketing Institute, Entrepreneur, Forbes, Thrive, Search Engine Journal, MarTech Advisor, Marketing Profs, and Austin's Women to Watch. So first of all, Julia, what haven't you done? I just want to know. You're amazing. I have one of your books right here. Actually, we have, let's see, do I have all 3? Let's see if I have all 3 of them. You have, let's see. Hold on, Julia. Let's see what I got. Do I have it? Do I have them all? Let's see, Julia's getting them too.
You have them all.
Yeah.
The colors are so vibrant on your camera. I like it.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
And thanks for sharing all the highlights of my life. I'm like, you shared all the highlights. It looks so good.
Yeah. No, it's just who you are. You're brilliant and you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so wonderful. So first of all, TikTok or Reels? Have you had a chance to play around with Reels yet?
I haven't. I have a really good friend here in Austin. She's like getting me to do it. And she loves it, and it's really been amazing for her. And she's incorporating it into the rest of her Instagram presence, which does really good for her business. So I haven't tried it yet, but my friend Jessica Campos, shout out to her. She's doing it and already did a tutorial on it and everything. So I have yet to catch up.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. We've got Alan Hennessy in the house. Alan's from Ireland. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully you have a drink in your hand because it's after 5 for you. So cheers to you. Cheers to your weekend. We've got Juan Santiago in the house as well. Yes, get every single one of her books, guys, because Julia knows what she's talking about. And really quick, Brian Fanzo says, TikTok is 10 times better than Reels, but Reels is targeting creator sharing more than content discovery, which is the genius behind TikTok. So very clever. I love that input because Brian loves testing things as soon as they come out. So
I looked at him first. I'm like, has Brian done it?
Yeah. Oh God. He was, as soon as they came out, he's like, boom, 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 boom.
I know, right? I was like a year late.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay though. I mean, I think we all were. We're just like last year, he was even encouraging me. He was just like, Jen, do TikTok. You're really going to like it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have time. And now I'm like, I love it. There's just the algorithm is amazing though, because it knows that I like workout videos and gymnastics. And so that's what it shows me. It learns me really quickly. So the algorithm is fantastic. Yeah. And Mitch Jackson, our show sponsor, said, can't wait to learn how to build a brand that lasts organically, the 12-step P.A.S.T.O.R method or formula and a proven recipe for great content. Yes. Okay. So let's dive right in, Julia, because you have amazing insight and expertise. But first, congratulations on your 9-year anniversary. You just had that, I think, in March.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh, no, actually May. I always get the 2 M's mixed up. May.
Well, May. So first of all, happy anniversary. Cheers to 9 years. I think as many of you know, starting your own business and having it survive the first year is very hard, let alone 9 years is incredible. So congratulations to you. That's an amazing accomplishment. But I'd love for you to share just in a couple of minutes, just your story and what motivated you to be like, you know what, I can do something and do this better. I don't need college. Let me just hone in and focus on this.
Yes. Great question. Well, if you all saw the first 3 seconds of the show, and Jen held up the book too, but I recently wrote the full story and I haven't been telling all sides of the story till this book came out. Brian Fanzo, who we talked about earlier, really encouraged me at the early stages. But part of my story is I actually grew up inside of a cult, and it was religious. There was a lot of abuse that went on. And so from a very young age, I was pushed to find something that I love doing, and that kind of became my outlet. So that while it was a bad thing, nobody wants to grow up in a cult. What that did for me is shape these habits that I have today, which are, I know what I love doing and I have no fear pursuing it because I've been doing it from a young age. It was my outlet. It was kind of my way out of, just the mental abuse, the physical abuse that was going on in that cult. So I wrote and I would fill books, entire journals with content from like the age of 7. So I was writing, reading, and that just led me to whenever I was 19, I found myself in college, and it was for a degree that I didn't really want. My parents were pushing me to get. It was an RN degree. And halfway through, as I was noticing, like, I don't have the passion to pursue this, and therefore my grades were failing. As I was noticing that, I stopped and asked myself one morning, what do I love to do? And how can I make that my career? So I followed that whole path. And that day at 19 years old, 2011, I just Googled how to make money writing. And then I uncovered this entire industry, which back then was really new and there wasn't a ton of competition. I mean, it had existed, but the competition today is, it's like 10 times greater what it was back then. So I definitely had an edge when I started. I didn't have a ton of competition on the sites that I signed up to write. So I just started. And I think sometimes that's the hardest thing, is just to get started and just to try it and see what happens. And little did I know that 9 years later, I would be here with a business that has lasted the test of time. And today we write content for all kinds of businesses. But that's what I'm telling in my third book, that full story.
Well, and I love that. And you're a 3-time best-selling author. And you're writing another new book with Dr. Dr. Addison.
Yes.
And so, which is, well, you're a writer. So I'm one of those, I'm more of a scientist and math geek. And so writing, I can write, but it's like, whoa, Jen, that's a run-on sentence for pages, They're like, where's the structure there? And so I'm sure our content manager, who will read over some of my blogs sometimes, she's just like, Jesus, but seriously though, what you do is so amazing, and you should be so proud of yourself, because taking that first step is scary. And I feel like so many people are in that place and they know they can do more. They know they can do better, but they're comfortable sitting in where they are, and they just never make that move. And you never know until you actually make that first move. And really quick hey, Stephanie Lou, good morning. How are you doing? She's in the West Coast as well. We've got Mitch and Stephanie in San Diego right now, which I'm a little jealous of you guys. And Brian Fanzo says, yes, won't know if it works or doesn't work till you try. This is so true. And Justin Hornback, try it and see what happens. He just quoted you and he said, yes, which is so true. And I love it. So now I would love to know, what have companies, first of all, in a minute or two, how has your company pivoted during COVID-19? Has it really impacted you guys that much? And what have businesses and other companies been coming to you for during this time? Are they coming in droves being like, Julia, help us. Let's do blogs. Let's write. Let's content create. What is the number one thing people and companies have been coming to you for help with?
Yes, great question. I think that question is so good to ask, because asking, business owners what's actually happening and then getting a real answer, sometimes it's hard in today's media in the world. So, I'll be completely honest, what happened in our writing agency, we saw some of our bigger clients go in-house. So they, instead of laying off, they went and employed their executives and told them all to write. So that took away our job. But what we were able to do, we're still making enough income, thankfully, to continue. And that's always, for me, a big question. At what point do we have to look at margins? But we've never been there. And we have new business coming in still on top of what we lost. But we did see a 30% dip over lockdown. What I did see on the other side, on the positive spectrum, was this influx of people seeking my teaching and what I know. So I have these skill sets that I've honed that I can work from home anywhere. That's what we do. And that's another huge benefit of my agency, is that instead of laying off people or saying, okay, how do we make our office safer, and investing time and money into that, which has killed a lot of businesses, we were able to just kind of cancel some of the meetings we had and let them focus more on working from home and taking care of their families. So I'm really thankful that we stayed completely remote in my agency at Express Writers. But the other spectrum, I have sold the most courses I've ever sold.
Wow.
This year, we had about a 3 times multiplier in March, and that has continued. And whenever I was searching this, and it's funny because a lot of the people buying, they don't even have a conversation with me first. They just go to my site and they enroll in a course. And I'm like, hello, my new mentee. So that's been happening frequently. And I was looking at the search data because along with being a writer, I am a data geek. I love studying trends, what's going on in search traffic. So SEO content is kind of one of my main niches on top of content marketing. And what I saw was there was a huge spike in traffic on specific search terms. And one of those terms I wrote down for our interview was the term work from home. Back in February, that was getting 300,000 searches per month. So it was increasing, like without the pandemic, it was already increasing. But the minute the lockdown happened, over March, that term went up to 1.8 million searches. And now it's like 2 million searches per month. So it was 300,000. And now it's 2 million people searching for work from home opportunities. And if you think about it, like half of America is experiencing layoffs. So that's happening. And these digital skill sets that so many people watching, the digital skill sets we have, people need those skill sets. Like people that just lost their job, maybe they were an executive, they may have been relying on that career as something, maybe they were stuck in the middle of something they didn't love, but they didn't know how to get out. Now they're kind of forced to. And that's bad, but it's also good because there's people like us, practitioners, that have been doing it for a while. We've challenged status quo for a while. And it's like, we are ready to be that resource for them. And I've seen quite a few educators step up as well and be in the same place with me. Like, we are teaching with open arms. We're ready to give our information, our knowledge to people that need it. And what I've been doing, as well as working with people on price point, if they can't afford the full price, I'm like, well, what can we do? And then we work with them. So that's also really important to win new business.
And I love that, Julia. And I think you made a good point that I think we all individually we have expertise in different parts, whether it's science or social media, marketing, writing, anything like that. And you can share it right now. And there's so much opportunity. I think a lot of people had been bogged down, especially like in April and May, like, oh my God, like getting depressed. And I know it's been an emotional roller coaster for a lot of people, including me, but there is a lot of opportunity. Like, we're all on the same playing field. And there are people that need your information, your skill sets, or need help. And so you, like Julia, I love that. And the fact that you're working with companies and helping them and doing what you can, I think is so amazing. So I love that, because we all need someone like you in our life, Julia, all the time. And
I literally got this letter the other day through email. Someone like pinned a letter and exported it as a PDF. And they were like, they called me, Dear Julia, the great entrepreneur and creator. And I was like, my head just...
I love that. No, you got to save that. Brian Fanzo always has an awesome folder, an awesomeness folder. So he's the one that taught me the folder of awesome, I guess it is. So like when people do a positive comment, you screenshot it or save the link, or I forget exactly what it's called, but you should do that, Julia. And I bet yours is going to go like crazy.
Okay. I will archive that in an awesome folder.
Do that. And so like there are a lot of data geeks here. So I'm like a math data geek. Scott Ayers, our content scientist, yelled science. Stephanie Liu, shout out to the data geeks. Brian's also a data geeks will fulfill the future. will fuel the future, I think he was trying to say. So we are all geeks, and I love that. And Mitch Jackson said, being proactive right now is important. I love how Julia is pushing forward and embracing the new work from home opportunities and biz model. Are you? What do you think about working from home? So that's a great question to all of our viewers. What do you think about working from home? I have several friends that have recently, transitioned to working from home and want to do it permanently. But some of their, one of my friends works for the government, and the government's like, yeah, no. Or at least where the branch she is like, no, we can't do that. But some are allowing them, which I think is
did that permanently?
Well, some. So yeah, well, so I know Twitter is doing that, and there's a couple private businesses that are allowing them to work from home, or they're hoping that they can. So we'll see if that happens. Like I think the rest of this year and into next spring, most of my friends are still working from home, but I have a couple teacher friends, which that's a little bit tricky, and so they can't really do that. But yeah, so they're hoping, and I think that would also save with pollution and just a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
which is very true. Marissa Callie said, my folder is nice things. Good. I hope everyone has an awesome folder. If they don't, you guys need to get it. Reger is a software engineer. So we've got a lot of geeks here. So let's talk about, Julia, you wrote an amazing blog on how to build a brand that lasts organically despite the ups and downs. Could you share with us some of your top takeaways from that blog post?
Yes. I love that you picked that one. So funny story, that topic was on my calendar long before the pandemic, and I just never got to it. And as I'm scrolling my editorial calendar in March, I'm like, ooh, that's a really good one. And the reason I wanted to talk on that topic, I saw some pivots that kind of devastated businesses. There were businesses that did pivots into selling products. They had no idea what they were doing, and they got crushed. They kind of had to take a step back and say, okay, that pivot was not a good decision. So that kind of inspired me to write this blog, because at Express Writers, while we did have some clients step away, we were still able to pull through, and we are still today. I haven't laid off anyone on staff, which is amazing. So in this blog, I talk about the importance of long-term thinking over short-term. And what I wanted to get across was that will always win. If you think long-term instead of just short-term, what can I do today to make sales tomorrow? While yes, sometimes you have to do that, and I'm not condemning anyone for that. At the same time, think long-term as much as you can, because it really will pay off. And in that blog that Jen referred to, How to Build a Brand That Lasts, that's a Write blog that came out in May. I talk about these 5 points that are so important for business owners to keep in mind. And the first one is the importance of just working. As simple as that sounds, like rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. And the data is it takes 2 to 3 years on average before a business becomes profitable. So if you're starting something, especially now this year, and maybe it's not profitable, don't kill it. Do not kill it because of the pandemic. Instead, take a long-term approach and think, what will this do in 2021? So like right now, I'm writing a book that will not come out for 8 to 12 months. But am I still spending my time on that? You bet. Even though I'm not getting paid, right? So that's an example of thinking long-term. And that ties into the other points. So the first point was get to work. The second point is all about consistency. Whatever you do, be consistent, show up often, show up frequently for your audience, for your customers. The third point was how important it is to put customers first in everything that you do. And for businesses, this is, again, a really simple point that it's easy to gloss over because, we're worried about how do we package our products? How do we create this amazing marketing? And while all that's important, think about your fundamentals as much as you do that campaign. And the statistics show 73% of customers will actually walk away if they don't have a great first interaction. So think about that. Like, you could be losing 73% of your leads if there's no one there to greet them, whether that's digitally, in a chat message, in an email. And then the last 2 points, the fourth one was about making integrity a core value. And I really like the word integrity over authenticity. I think authenticity is sometimes used with a little bit of not enough meaning, I should say. So I like the word integrity because when it comes to that fork in the road, that looks like transparency and honesty with your customers. If something went wrong or you're about to lay off some staff and maybe it's you delivering the service, we have to be honest up front with our customers, and that always wins. And I've done that several times in the 9 years that I've ran my agency, and it's always won. And the last point was about keeping your promise. That is tied directly into your reputation. So that is critical as well.
I love keeping your promise, and I love all of those. Mitch Jackson said, thinking long term is so important, and that's a great tip. Sue Ann said, so many folks are afraid to work for no money, but it really can be beneficial in the long run. That is very, very true. You got to put in the work. You can have all these grand ideas, but if you don't wake up and grind and put in the work, nothing's ever going to happen. You know, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And Alan Hennessy said, you've got to work hard and stay focused. Nothing is ever an overnight success. You have to keep pushing and you will succeed. So I love that, Julia. You are motivating the masses. And I love how you said, oh, yes. Oh, my God, yes. I freaking love that. It's fantastic. And so I love how you said, if something's not giving you money right now, don't necessarily cut it off. Think long-term instead of just, any kind of work you've already put into it, you just kind of throw it away. Just pause and wait, because the atmosphere, the current environment we're in right now isn't forever, and everything's kind of cyclical in its own way anyway. So you got to keep that in mind and just be ready for the ups and downs of the economy and kind of everything in life. And so, Julia, those are amazing tips. Now we're going to go on to even more fun stuff. So we want to know the breakdown of your 12-step P.A.S.T.O.R, if I'm saying it correctly, formula on to make a high converting landing page. So many of us in here make landing pages, have made lots of landing pages, but what is your 12-step formula in making sure it gets a lot of traffic and people have a good experience on it?
Yes. Well, I wish I could take credit for what you called correctly the P.A.S.T.O.R formula, but I cannot. It's from Ray Edwards. It comes from his book, How to Write Copy That Sells, which is really great. It's the first version came out years ago. He's updated it. And there's some really timeless information on how to persuade through your writing in that book that's really good. Some of the points are very simple. So the P.A.S.T.O.R formula, I've seen so many formulas. You can Google and there are a list of like 100 formulas for the copywriter. And this one, I have to say, is one of the best. I've tested quite a few. So P.A.S.T.O.R, of course, that's an acronym. Each letter stands for something. P stands for the person, the problem, the pain. So you have to think about all three of those things at the beginning. Who are you addressing? Of course, that comes first, the person. What's their problem? What's the pain point that you're going to solve? That's a lot, right? Wrapped up in one letter. That's the first letter. So the second point, I think, is almost like the easiest part. All you're doing once you have that person, problem, pain, all you're doing is amplifying what's going on. So if there's a pain point that you're solving, rub that pain point, talk about it, because what that does is that gets people to relate to you and makes them a prime potential prospect for you. So they'll sign up to your list, potentially buy your offer, book that call, whatever your goal is. So you're amplifying those first three things: person, problem, pain. Then you're amplifying S, one of my favorites. This is your story and your solution. So what Ray Edwards talks about is you can't really have a great solution without a great story. And that goes back to what we were just talking about building a brand that lasts and the importance of integrity. So I think it's really good to show up as who we are. We don't need to disguise ourselves as some rich business owner who, looks like the Facebook ad stereotype. We don't need to do that. We need to be real and who we are. And that immediately makes us relatable to our audience. That really makes a difference. So weave your story into your solution. Don't just talk about what you're doing, what you're selling. Talk about you, and don't be afraid to to not hold back. Be completely transparent. Show up, brag a little bit. Brian's awesome folder. We were talking about, all that definitely plays in. And then the T is all about transformation and testimony. So what is the transformation that your reader will achieve, or your buyer, the person getting your product? What are they going to achieve? And you should have a testimony that is going to go hand in hand with that. So someone who has been successful with what you're selling, there should be some proof here. That's what that T is all about. Then it's your offer. It's time to sell, or do whatever it is you want them to do. Book that call. This is your goal. So this could also be G, but then we wouldn't have a word. So it's offer. So this is where you need to just be clear, be crystal clear about what it is you want them to do, and ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Say, are you ready to take the next step? Ask them for that action. And that ties into the last letter, which is R, for response. So you want to gain that response. So the best way to get a response really is to end with a question. Like, are you ready to make the next step? Are you ready to level up? And if you end there and you just sign your name, that's so strong. So you don't need to keep going. Once you have this acronym matched up to different points of your page, you have a great page. And that's what's really cool about something like a strong formula. And there's so many formulas out there that kind of give you 2 letters, 3 letters, but this one gives you 6, and it's very comprehensive. That's why I love it.
I love the breakdowns of everything. And I specifically love you saying, incorporate your story in the solution, which I think is so powerful. And Mitch just said, story is so important. We're all unique. Share it. That is such a great tip. And Mitch also said, the story that you shared at the beginning of the live grabbed my attention. He loves story, and storytelling goes back to, thousands, millions of years,
Cavemen.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Which is still so powerful today. And Brian Fanzo said, if you aren't your own biggest cheerleader, why would anyone else cheer for you? This is a very true point as well. And we are breaking it down between Mitch Jackson, Mike Alton, our producer, and Deb Mitchell is breaking down kind of everything that Julia is saying in the comments. So she's sharing so much great information, but if you're missing anything, it's there in the comments. So thank you to all of you, our amazing show sponsor, Mitch, and everyone else for pitching in on that, because this is fantastic and so awesome. And let's see if we have any more. There was one more comment I wanted to read. Riger said, I forget who said it at Video Marketing World, be relentless with your time, which is another very good point, which kind of goes back to your prior question, just about, being careful with what you do and not necessarily giving up and throwing something away or an idea away if you've already put time into it. And as well, sometimes working and making no money, that'll pay off in the long run. So many good things. I love this so much. And Julia, you're brilliant. You're so awesome. You guys, I sent Julia, I usually send every guest a lot of questions, and I'm sure they're like, whoa, Jen, how much time do we have?
Love it.
And we might not get to all of them, Julia. We might not, but so let's keep diving right in, because all of this is so wonderful. So can you break down the difference between content marketing and then content strategy, and your recipe for success for great content?
Yes, another great question. So I was just talking about this in, first of all, I have 6 or 7 websites for all the things I do. So another one of them is contentstrategycourse.com, and I teach content marketing. And I teach it from a skill-based perspective. So how do you build the parts of content marketing? We break it down. So I was just explaining this concept, content marketing versus content strategy, on the blog that I run there. And the easiest way, there's a lot of metaphors you can use, but the one that I really like, we use several. We use a tree, we use a house, but one that I would want to use is a car. So if you think about, you have this goal, it's your destination, it's where you want to arrive. How are you going to get there? So that goal could be brand growth. I want to hit $1 million in the next 3 years. How are you going to get there? That's your destination. what's your vehicle? What's your car? So content marketing is like the best vehicle right now. It's your Maserati to get, well, that's too expensive. If you can think of, maybe we can ask our viewers, think of a really awesome car that doesn't cost too much. So that,
Brian likes the Jeep. Brian likes
okay.
Jeeps. Yeah.
Okay. We can use that. So let's say content marketing is the Jeep that gets you to your destination. Content strategy is the engine inside of that Jeep. You can't turn that car on without that engine. So content strategy is some of your most intricate pieces of your content marketing campaign, and they make it run. So that looks like your audience persona. Do you have someone identified that you're going to reach, that you're going to sell to? That's critical. And then right on top of that, what makes you different? I call that your content differentiation factor. So what differentiates you from the millions of other Jeeps out there? What is going to make yours the one people hop in and they want to ride to that destination with you and help you achieve your goal? And on top of that, think about search terms and the right topics that you can write about. And that kind of gives your car speed, helps you get down the road quickly and reach the right people. So, and all of those build on themselves. Like you can't just start writing without your audience identified first. So like we were saying, content strategy is really intricate. But to me personally, and I'm a writer, I'm really not someone who's, a scientific, I don't have degrees, none of that, but I was able to learn this with a lot of trial and error. And now seeing the full picture, it makes so much sense. Why would you create content first without knowing who you're speaking to? So everything builds on each other. And if you do it that way, you'll have so much more success with the actual content. So there's a lot more that could be said on that, but hopefully that's gives you some clarity.
No, it does. I love that entire analogy, and no one's ever really talked about content strategy, marketing, everything in that way, which I love. I think it also gives a visualization in your head. You're like, oh, okay, that's right. I want to get here, but why would I drive and do this or get in this car when this is what I'm trying to do? So it helps you really align your focus and your intent and really hone in on what your goal is and what you're trying to do. So I think that is absolutely fantastic. And Deb Mitchell, content differentiation, what makes you different? This is so true. Mitch Jackson said, so many great tips being shared today by Julia McCoy. What's your story? What makes you different? Give thought to those questions, then take action, which I love that. Think about that and then take action. That's the biggest step. Like you talked about too, Julia, earlier, is you got to make a move, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're scared. Use fear as your fuel.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost like the more fear you have, the more gasoline you got in that car, and you can just drive it and go.
My story is a testimony to every word you're saying. That's in my third book. The part 1 is life in a cult, and it's 100% fear. Wow. And then I take action. I find something I love doing, and then everything explodes for me. And it really is that simple, finding what you love doing, and then despite all that fear, stepping out.
And I love it. Julia, you're true success. And the thing is, I mean, it's amazing what you've done in 9 years, and also the people and companies and brands that you've helped too. You're so helpful in sharing your integrity, your brilliance, all your ideas. It's really amazing. You're living the American dream.
This is my awesome folder right now.
Yes. Now we want to be your awesome folder because everyone loves you so much and you're so amazing. And so I'm going to try and rapid fire through these questions. But really quick, or the remaining questions, what are your tips on optimizing for search intent so your content is found by the right readers? Which I think is something we all kind of struggle with, right? We want to optimize our search intent so the right readers find the content that we've actually created.
Yes, I would say to simplify it, we think about it in 4 steps, and everything, getting to that goal, what we've talked about, everything builds on each other. So don't do the steps out of order, do them in order. So the first step is you need to know your data around the right terms. So how do you uncover search traffic competition numbers of a keyword? And then that keyword is what you'll write about whenever you find the right one. So first of all, like above the data comes relevancy. How relevant is this keyword to your actual product? You know, for example, I sell a content strategy course. I wouldn't write on something as broad as just content marketing. I would write on something like comparing a content strategy course to a digital marketing course. And that's crazy specific. And you might not even find data on that. But if you see results in Google, that's enough data. And for me, in our history of this is what we do, we create content that pulls in prospects for all of my businesses. That's our main marketing avenue. It does come down to relevancy. So how specific, how ultra specific are your terms to pull in potential buyers? Then after that, once you have your keyword and you have a great term, the second point is to create topical content. What does that mean? So that means making your keyword your topic. And I got this wrong for maybe 4 years running because it's so easy to stray from the topic and to create a guide on all the other things. But you have to focus on that keyword as your topic. If you do, you will succeed. You will rank for that keyword. That's a main ranking factor. And then the third piece would be to optimize the heck out of that piece. So you want to use that keyword multiple times over and over. And again, like that is so easily missed. I was missing that myself for years. And the fourth point is to show up with a ton of value. That's how you're going to outperform your competition and get those clicks versus your competitor ranking right below you to get those clicks. And I have some friendly competition with several people in my space. And it's like, we'll Google the phrase to see who's ranking for it. And it's like either me or my friend. And then we're like, okay, how can we outperform each other? But it's always friendly. So value is how you're going to outperform the competition. So that's a quick run through my 4 tips on optimizing your content so it ranks.
Well, and I think what you're saying is so brilliant. If I was able to write notes right now, which I will when I do like a watch party later on, I would have like pages upon pages of notes, and I'd probably have to go back and rewatch it anyway, because it is so smart and everything you're saying. And Mitch Jackson has a question, but before we get to that, Tim says, you're so amazing, Julia. He's paging one of his other friends, Brian Schulman, to join. Christina said she just enrolled in the content strategy course. So yes, this is so awesome. Yay. Oh, you're going to be learning so much. And Mitch has a question. Is Julia's content strategy different today because of COVID-19? Which is a great question.
Yes. So at the early beginning, I was studying this. I was actually looking at local businesses within our radius and looking at which ones were pivoting and how successful it was. And I think that's important before you change up your editorial calendar, start creating new content to address the pandemic. Take a step back and see how successful it's been for other businesses. And if you can find businesses in your niche, even better. So look at how content is landing with them. Are they getting more shares? Are they getting more traffic? Are their analytics increasing? And going back to one of our first questions, we always want to think long-term because that's so much more successful. We're about to publish this really inspiring story from one of my students who committed to a long-term focus using my training in the content strategy course. I actually have a bundle, so she did both. She did the SEO writing course. And if she didn't start committing last November and creating content, today she would probably be out of business. But today she has increased business because of the key phrases she was targeting in December that now have like exploded because of the pandemic. So if you think long-term, it's always going to be a winner. So back whenever I was studying what have others done to pivot in their content and how has it been successful, I did see some elements of success in content calendars that had pivoted. So we definitely took a fine-tooth comb. And the first question I asked, because this was by far the biggest data point that I got, was companies got hated for publishing irrelevant content. Like they got straight up people that were offended. They're like, why are you publishing something that doesn't address, for example, walking into a place where you can go buy and test drive cars, and there's no sanitation, you're not wearing masks, and they're still publishing those commercials. Or that was in their content. And it could even be as simple as a photo of people gathering without distancing. So those businesses are getting some hate. So I was like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to publish irrelevant content in the pandemic. We're not going to publish things that actually breach safety guidelines. So that was the first thing we did, and probably the biggest change. And then the rest of it was, are we publishing anything irrelevant in terms of the actual topics? So are these still relevant to a remote workforce? And the majority of them were, because we are fully remote and have been for 9 years. So a lot of our content got even more relevant because that was what we were already publishing. So digital businesses, I think, many of them saw an uptick from this. And like I'm seeing with many of the people I teach and help, they are, sometimes a few of them are tripling their sales right now, because what they've been doing digitally has become even more relevant. And I think that's a really encouraging note for us. If we're doing digital, if we're offering digital services, if we're doing digital coaching, anything like that doesn't require in person, where we have to worry about the safety guidelines, that is a big, big plus for us.
And I love just what you've done, and you've been so smart over the past several months, because when I was looking back at your content and your blog, I'm like, all right, so what are we, because you know so much, Julia, I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? I looked at the content that you created during the past several months, basically since the pandemic, and that's what we're talking about now. But it plays true to everything else, some things to keep in mind always, not just during COVID, but always. So I love that, Julia. You are just beyond brilliant. And I can't believe we're closing in on an hour already. But
wow.
I know, really quick, I would love for you to share your top, and quick shout out though to Marcus. We've got Marcus in the house. So I got to say, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us. I love seeing you in here, you commenting. And it's funny because Marcus and Mitch were talking a side conversation about, Mitch was just on Subi Zimmerman's live, and he's everywhere. And social is one of the things that's been keeping me sane right now too. Because my producer, my boss, Mike Alton, he's like, geez, Jen, we're going on 90 minutes for some of these. And I'm like, because it's my socializing. This is what I do. And so
this is my social hour.
Yeah. So now we're trying to be more respectful of people's time and right at an hour. But I totally get it, because I'm exactly the same way. So, but Marcus, thank you so much for joining us. And Julia, I would love for you to share, because you manage so much. You own these companies, you write books. What are your top productivity tools that you use? And also, if there's one thing that you would do differently over the past 9 years, what would it be?
Two great questions. So productivity tips for me, there's, I think everyone's different. So that's really important to remember. There's tools I have that may not work for you. So it's important to find what you work best with and just try and test different things. I have some friends in the SEO industry. They do really in-depth technical SEO stuff, and they work best when they're listening to heavy metal, like death metal. That's not me. So a few of my productivity hacks though today, I would say, if I could think of the things that have helped me the most, it would definitely come down to the first being my space. So that's really important. And you're with me in my downstairs office. So this is where I have all the doors I can shut and lock, and I am a whole floor away from the rest of the family. And we actually moved a few months ago because I really needed the space. We were in a one-story ranch, and it was just, you could hear everything through the thin walls. I couldn't even lock my door. It was not good. So this is such an improvement. And we're really lucky because we got this amazing house that I can see the lake from my window. If I could easily switch my computer around, I would, but I can't. That's why I'll go into my next productivity hack as to why I can't switch my computer. But I can see the lake, and my view it's really peaceful. And that has absolutely, I was surprised how much that helped me specifically with writing. Not so much like team management, those things I don't think I need to see a peaceful view. But with writing my book, I am so much more inspired if I sit and write in the evenings from our second deck. So we have multiple decks from the back of the house that face the lake. And it's really added an extra additional creative element. What I look at, and it's funny how that plays into how you work. But then the second thing would be a very ergonomic setup. And I actually have a blog on my ergonomic setup over at the Content Hacker. I have a split keyboard. I have a vertical mouse. This is my mouse. It looks really weird.
Yeah. Oh, that is
interesting. Yeah, so your thumb is going here and you're holding it. So the way you're holding it is actually how your hand naturally sits. So if you're at a laptop right now and your hands are like this, that's not good. Pain, like I did. So a split keyboard, specifically split keyboard, that's a term you want to look for. And then a vertical mouse. Those made all the difference to me not having wrist pain, being able to work for sometimes 8 hours a day, because we have to sometimes. That made all the difference. And then raising up my laptop to eye level, I have just a laptop stand for that, and it's actually portable, so it folds down, moves. I have a couple different laptop stands. So those 3 things really made a difference in my office environment: the split keyboard, vertical mouse, and then raising my laptop to eye level. So space, we covered. What we use for the computer. There was a third thing I was thinking of. Oh, just nutrition, water, staying hydrated. That's so hard. But the minute I'm really working on a better habit. I used to be that person that just sat and kept working with an empty water cup. So I think I broke that habit. As soon as it's empty, I'm getting up, refilling my water cup. And the difference that does for your brain, like, we don't realize, because sometimes we're working so hard, we don't realize hydration, nutrition, that can mean the difference of a better idea flow versus being hangry or dehydrated and continuing to work, but it's not our best work and we won't get as much done. So those 3 things are definitely my top productivity hacks. And there was another question. Besides that.
And those are awesome. I just have to say, and you recently kind of took out all the kind of sugar from your diet too, or like all non-necessary sugar, which we'll have to talk about.
How hardcore should we go?
No.
Hardcore.
Julia, we will save that for another conversation, because I'm actually very interested in that. But really quick, Megan Power says she wants the t-shirt you're wearing in your Twitter cover photo that says writer, I believe. Amazon, yes. Megan. Yeah, that's awesome. And Justin said environment helps productivity majorly. What helps me is going out for short walk breaks, whether it's 20 minutes or 40 minutes. It just helps. So I'm not staring at the computer and just, I don't know, being outside. If it's not too hot, I usually do it in the morning or in the evening, really helps. And the Pantera, Lisa says Pantera for productivity as well. Mitch Jackson, one of my favorite productivity tools is Agorapulse. Oh, just saying. Thanks. Thank you there for that, Mitch. Okay, so really quick. I love Brian. You ladies are both rock stars. We love you. Brian, you're amazing. Yeah. So really quick, and we've got Eric Fisher too. Standing, sitting desk and adjustable monitor stand make a huge difference for me.
Yes, I have the standing, sitting desk.
Yeah. Oh God, that's so true. So next is, what would you do? What's the one thing you would do differently during your 9-year journey if you could go back and change something?
Great question. I think what I would do, and I've really only learned this in like my 8th or 9th year, what I would go do differently is I would simplify. So at the beginning, there were so many different voices, whether it was a business mentor, a colleague, a client, that were like, you should add this to your company. You should do this service. You should hire this person. You should do this for your marketing. And I was listening to all of those voices instead of myself, what I loved doing, what I was good at. And that by far was my biggest distraction from, hitting that 7-figure year and those major goals that we've been able to achieve. So simplifying, stripping away what we're not good at, saying no to more clients, saying yes to the clients that want our core service. That by far has been one of the biggest catalyst for growth. And I think that can also be summed up with the word focus. On top of simplify, focus on the right things. Don't get distracted by any of the shiny elements, or, sometimes all the advice we hear, it could be well-meaning from people in our life that might still love us, but that advice doesn't come from a place of, my business in and out like I do, and I should listen to you. The majority of people can't speak from that place. Only you can. So it's really important to focus and simplify. If you want to hit those next level goals, that will get you there.
And Julia, I love how you said simplify and focus, because I think that's even for myself, I like to calendar block so I can really hone in and focus, because otherwise I would get creative ideas sometimes all popping in at once. I'm like, oh, here. And then it's like, if I want to accomplish a lot of work on one specific task that I need to do, I need to just focus and work on it, which I love. Now, Julia, it is 3:01. Do you need to go?
I don't hear my kid with my husband back yet. They went to the store, so I think we're good. I mean, if she comes in, you said it was okay. So
of course, we're family show. Zara's joined me so much, but we're going to have one more quick question, because we got a great question. And then we love you guys. I wish, Julia, we should have reserved 2 hours with you.
Right?
Yeah, at least 90 minutes. But with next time, we're just going to bring you back on.
Let's do it.
Which is so awesome. So Brian Fanzo had this great question. Embed YouTube videos in blog posts, or link an image to the YouTube video for best SEO. P.S. We need more Julia on video. True, all true. But yeah, so the question, embed your YouTube videos in blog posts, or link an image to the YouTube video for best SEO.
Great question. What I would recommend is to embed the actual YouTube video, and that'll do two things. That'll actually give the video itself more ranking, because embedding a YouTube video is a YouTube ranking factor. So they count the number of embeds, and each one is a ranking factor. That's why sometimes if you're scrolling through my blog on one site, you'll see a video. You'll also see a video on my other site. So luckily I have several sites. I can embed a single YouTube video in several places. And then it'll also help that blog post, because Google is looking at video whenever they are ranking content. If you Google the phrase, and I'm curious to see if some of you do this, what comes up, how to write headlines, you should see my video in one of the first results in like the video knowledge graph category. Somebody might have outranked me, because that happens often. And then we have that friendly competition we talked about earlier. So video is looked at as highly rankable content by Google. So you definitely want to embed that in your blog post. That gives your YouTube channel an increase, and it gives your blog post that additional format that Google really loves whenever they're ranking content.
And great advice, great tips. So I feel like you've written a mini book, like a little strategy pamphlet, or the best tips right now. So this is all so fantastic. Julia, seriously, thank you so much. And we actually have a quick trivia section, Julia. Now, this is actually for our viewers. You can actually comment on what you think, but this is actually for our viewers. So, and if you answer both of these correctly, you'll be in the running to winning an Agorapulse mug or a t-shirt. It's your choice. And so we're going to jump right to it, because our virtual summit is all focused on LinkedIn, which is less than 2 weeks away. If you haven't registered, you need to register. We'll pop up a link there when you can register, or how you can register at the end. But the first question for our trivia is, and this may be easy, don't Google this, guys. How many overall users are there currently on LinkedIn? Is there A, 560 million, 690, 720, or 810 million? How many overall users are there currently on LinkedIn? Think about it. I'm not going to give the answer, Julia. I tend to give the answer away. And people are just like, Jen, they all basically wait for me. I love Julia. Oh, I love that Julia said C, guys. Good job. And so, yes, comment. Make sure you do 1-A, B, or C, or D, so we know which one you're saying the answer to. So yes, so good job, guys. There is the right answer. Someone said the right answer, so I'm just going to say that. You guys think about that for about
hey.
That's my boss. That's our producer right now. He gets mad at me when we call him the godfather of Agorapulse. Marcus said C too when I give away the answer too easily. All right, guys, question 2, really quick. Microsoft's, and Christina said C, Microsoft's latest report on LinkedIn, based on that report, what percentage has the number of LinkedIn sessions increased? And this is their latest report on LinkedIn with their stats. Don't go Google this. How high or how much has their percentage number of LinkedIn sessions increased? So an active session is when someone logs into their LinkedIn. You can have multiple active sessions at the same time if I'm on LinkedIn on my phone or computer. And every time you refresh, it kind of refreshes. So you don't consistently have an active session if like you put your computer down and sleep. But anyway, what percentage has the number of LinkedIn sessions increased recently? Is it A, 15%, B, 27%, C, 32%, or D, 38%? What do you guys think? You guys are doing good. Oh, Julia says D. This is exciting. I'm not going to say anything else. But you guys are doing some great answers, and I love all of this. Now, with that said, while you guys are thinking about the answer, Julia, can you, first of all, let us know afterward, after you answer this question, I want to hear about the new book that you're writing with Dr. Addison Zhang. Just give us a quick little 15-second blurb about that. And then let us know where people can find you, follow you, hire you, do all that stuff.
Yes. Okay. I'm so bad.
I threw that after Julia. I'm so sorry.
So real quick, the new book is called Skip the Degree, Save the Tuition, Your A to Z Pathway to Creating an Income Based on Something You Love Doing. We increased the deadline for this book because of the pandemic. It suddenly really got more relevant. I started writing this book earlier this year. So our due date for publishing is potentially early next year to spring-ish. You can learn about that book, get on the wait list at savethetuition.com. And Dr. I. Zhang is my co-writer. She's asking the big question, is the ROI of traditional education worth it? And how should we challenge it? If not, how should we think as parents? And these are things that I've read her first chapter. I'm writing the other parts of the book. Her thoughts I've been able to apply directly with teaching my 6-year-old already, and I'm seeing results. So these things are going to work. This is a proven model, and I believe it could be the first place where you're getting it all in one source, all of these topics put into one book. So that's the new book. And you can find me on Twitter at Julia E. McCoy, one of my favorite platforms. I tweet back all the time, very active there. I'm on Instagram at FemEntrepreneur, and those are my 2 top favorites. I'm on LinkedIn, but not as often. I get a lot of spam there. So I tend to stay on Twitter and Instagram.
I love it. Julia, seriously, thank you so much for taking more than an hour now to just share your brilliance and your positivity, your smile, all of that with us. We think you're awesome and amazing. And a big shout out to Mitch Jackson, our show sponsor, who's been helping drive the conversation. If you want to get more information on Mitch, he is amazing, first of all, for anything legal, for social media advice, all of it. You can first of all, his video blog, livevideo.lawyer. You can go to streaming.lawyer, which is his website, which has links to just about everything. And his live show, which is really taking off, hackingsocial.live. Go to that. You'll see all of Mitch's amazing things, everything, all the content he's producing. And he's so positive. You need to watch his Instagram stories and everything as well, because he will pump you up and get you excited for your day. With that said, thank you all for joining us. This has been a great conversation, and I love this. So much positivity here. And I love how all of you that are watching have been sharing your insights as well. I think it's great. I love the conversation. So we love you guys. We're hosting our free summit on August 26th. That's Wednesday, August 26th, less than 2 weeks away, totally free, all focused on LinkedIn. So you want to just clear your calendar, tell your boss you're attending this, take the day off, whatever you need to do, find a babysitter and focus in on this. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Go to summit.agorapulse.com to register. And also we're going to be having a lot of fun Q&As and different aspects of this summit within our Facebook group, Social Pulse Community. So you'll join that as well. You'll be prompted to join that. So you get even all the fun extra stuff as well. And we have another amazing lineup of live guests next week in store for us, starting off with our Lunch and Learn series, which is just specifically in our Facebook group, Social Pulse Community. And then we've got our other live shows, our tweet chat, all of that amazingness. We could start off with Vincenzo on Tuesday, Yvonne Hyman on Wednesday, Christine Gritman, #agency chat is our Twitter chat, and the amazing Tina Starkey is our guest for Social Pulse Weekly next week. With all that said, we hope you have amazing rest of your Friday. And if you need anything from us, let us know. We are here to help you. And also, Agency Love is a new tool we have for agencies. Now, this is for agencies that actually use Agorapulse, but you get a free trial. You have a 28-day free trial. You can get a demo of Agorapulse, and you can get a 28-day free trial of Agency Love and what it can do to help your agency get more leads, increase revenue, get extra resources, support from other agencies, and more. So check out agorapulse.com, get a free demo, get 28 days free, and then you get free access to Agency Love as well, and test it out because it is absolutely amazing. Well, with all that said, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm just going to relax for a minute, and I hope everyone has an amazing rest of their Friday, their weekend, and everything else. Make it great, guys. And if you guys need any support, need anything, you guys can message me directly. You can email me at jennifer@agorapulse.com, at jwatson_wx on Twitter, Jennifer Weather on Instagram, all the fun things. But cheers and have a great weekend.